Oh, cool. That's
There it
good.
is.
Oh, now we're online. Okay. Welcome back to Bellwether. No,
Well,
last three episodes we had, we kind of talked about my childhood and Widener's childhood. Last time we talked about some of the issues that I had growing up. Going through the military and my divorces. And tonight it is Widener's turn to tell his stories. I'm gonna tell you right now to all of our guests in the past and future. Y'all are awesome. Um, Having to do this and put yourself in the spotlight is hard.
it's
It's
tougher
probably
than
one
I
of the
thought.
yeah,
Way tougher than I thought.
it's probably one of the hardest things that I've done. You know, uh, anything. It's just hard to do anything and talk about yourself. But it's good that we're doing it. I feel like we're getting to know our our
Audience, how
our
they feel?
audience is getting to know us better and know what's
Yeah.
going on with us. So I am happy about that. So before we get started, be sure to like and share. Tell your friends about it, guys. Tell people about Bellwether No because a lot of people don't know about us, and I've ran into numerous people this week, at least two or three this week, that didn't know nothing about us that would really benefit from what we're doing. Um, so, let people know about us. I mean, it's not like we're asking for money or anything. So just come watch us,
Yeah.
or check it out. Give the YouTube some love. YouTube
Yeah, we're
needs some
hurting
love.
over there.
No,
YouTube.
we're non-existent in YouTube. And if somebody thinks that if you know somebody that thinks could watch these videos or something, go to YouTube, send them the video. Don't do it through
Yeah.
Facebook. Send it through YouTube. Let them see that, because we do upload every video to YouTube eventually. Um, well, Widener,
Yeah.
it's your part two. It's part
Yeah.
four of the series.
Yeah. Um, yeah, this part of it being in the army, like Wadzik and myself said before, is we're not going to focus on war stories. We're going to kind of touch on it and touch how things unfolded for us and where we landed ourselves. I got one story that I'm going to tell that I think people need to hear, and a lot of people don't know about it. Even some of the Cougars forgot about it, I think. But with that being said, it's not going to be a whole war story. Look what we did thing because that's not what this is about. So don't expect that. A disclaimer also, my last one about my childhood. So I grew up rough, and it was evident in that podcast. I think I don't rewatch the ones we do. I just have a thing where I won't rewatch them. But the way that I grew up and with the people that I grew up with, they took care of me as much as they could. My uncle was awesome. My mom was awesome. Stepfather was awesome. I would not change how I grew up for anything because it made me the person I am today. So that is just out there. I know that it is a lot of drugs and stuff like that, but that's just my stance on it is I wouldn't change anything on how I grew up. So there's that. And with that being said, we are getting into my time in the military. So we're going to hit on it a little bit. So we left off with, I believe, my brother Ronnie. He was supposed to come with me to the military, and then he went off, and stuff happened to him. He got murdered, and that. So I knew after my brother Ronnie went missing that um, I had to get out of where I was because, as I said in the last one, there's every chance that I could have became a statistic, a drug addict, homeless, in jail, whatever. There's every chance of that. So I knew for a fact I had to get out of where I was. Nobody else in my graduating class was joining the military. And after I joined, I think off the top of my head, two, three, four, five or six. people joined after I joined. Not saying I started a trend or anything. It's just I knew what I had to do. So I call up this recruiter, and I shit you not, he was at my door 20 minutes later when I call him, because you got to remember, this is after 9/11. This is in 2004. They can't find people to come into the military. So I call him. I said, hey, I think I want to join the Army. Where do you live? I said, I live in Orville. Like, you know, those little cut scenes where they jump in a car, jump on a plane, they land, and they're there. That's what I feel like happened. So, so I get a knock at the door, and he has this cool laptop. And I know I'm leaving. I know for a fact I'm leaving. My mom's there. She was making breakfast. So he shows up with this what'd they call that? Those rugged books. Remember those gray,
yeah.
like those cool looking futuristic laptops? Had one of those, sits down in I'll never forget where I sat in my mom's kitchen, sat down at the table, opens it up. It's like, have you ever seen one of these? And he shows me this video of this guy on top of a Humvee shooting a what the hell? The wire guided missile. What the hell was that called?
But MS.
We don't use them anymore. We don't use them anymore. Shoot a tow missile. He was shooting a tow missile.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, that looks cool. I want to like do that, because all I thought the Army was just infantry. I just thought infantry, and I knew I was on the delayed entry program, so he could have got me out within the next 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Cool. So he signs me up. I sign all the papers. I'm 19 at this time. After high school, I floated around, did some painting. I did some heating and air work, stuff like that. I was making decent money, but I just knew I was not in the right spot geographically for my life. So I sign up all the papers, and my mom's sitting there. She already heard that I'm going before. She heard that me and Ronnie were going. So whatever. And it seems like it was night and day. He's at my house at 4:00 in the morning to take me down to Sacramento to MEPS to get everything started. My sister's in the living room or the kitchen crying. My mom's crying. They can't believe that I'm actually going. Well, now I can't back out. Like, I have to go.
Now you can't be able to.
I could have backed out. I think you have one more opportunity to back out at that point. Yeah. I didn't know shit about the Army. So I'm like, I'm stuck for the next 4 years now. So we go down.
They make it sound like you don't have a choice.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's not going to tell you. He's got someone post 9/11 that wants to go. And the war in Iraq is off and running. Like, we are losing people left and right.
Moving
the Wild West. Yeah. So he's like, I got this stupid ass. And
this guy wants to go combat arms.
Yeah, he ain't going to go shoot no damn towed missile. I didn't know that. I thought I'm shooting a towed missile. Well, we get into MEPS, and then I'll remember they afford you the night before you ship off for your family to come and have dinner.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand that correctly. So we go to MEPS, and my mom wants to come down the night before I jump on the plane to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And that's another story in itself. And I say, Mom, you can't come see me. I'm gone. Now, this was the last day, November 11th of 2004, the last day I've ever stayed at my mom's house living. So I leave, and they buy you dinner before. So it was a steakhouse. And I'm this young punk from Northern California. And you can get anything on the menu because it's your last meal before you leave. I got a personal pepperoni pizza. It was a steakhouse. Like, what the hell am I thinking? That's how, So then wake up early, and there's a taxi outside waiting for me, drives me to the airport. And I've never been outside of California at this point. Never been outside California. All I know now is I'm this long-haired, just punk that's going to the Army. I didn't think anything about it, Wojcik. I'm telling you. And so I get to the airport, and it literally had signs to where I had to go. And then I fly. I've been on a plane once or twice before that, I think. fly into Oklahoma, and I land at the airport at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, the bus ain't coming to pick us up until 8:30 that night. So they let us have the USO. It had signs to where we're going to get on the bus. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just following these signs saying, if you're going to Fort Sill for training, come here. Well, then I start seeing the other people that are going to join. And I'm like, oh, but I don't want to talk to anybody because I still didn't like people at that age. Like, I just still didn't like people. So I don't want to talk to anybody, but I'm like, they must be going where I'm going. No females. There was no females where I was. And there's a reason why, because where we were going. And so finally the bus comes and gets us, and I'll never forget. So we landed in OKC, and that's what, an hour from Lawton, about?
Yeah, around there, yeah.
Yeah, they pick us up at about 8:30, get to we start driving to Lawton, which I never heard of Lawton. I just know I'm in another state, and that's the first time in my life. Well, I've been in Nevada, but it's just like right across the border with California. But we start driving, and it starts raining. I will never forget this as long as I live. So I'm sitting there, and I have my backpack, and that's all. You can't bring anything with you. That's the one thing Drew got right. He told me, don't bring anything. And it starts pouring, and I'm like, damn, looking out, and I'm looking out of the bus window, and then I see we're entering Fort Sill. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. Back then, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have the internet to look at shark attack videos. We didn't have any of that. So you don't know what you're getting into. And pull into Fort Sill, it's just pouring down rain. You know how the weather was in Oklahoma. Pouring down rain. Bus stops. Lights are still off inside. Door opens. All I see is a brown, or the shadow of a drill sergeant brim. I'm like, oh, he lost his mind on us for just a second. And they said, all right, everyone get out. Get off the bus, and there was yellow footprints. Do you remember those?
Yes.
First thing we learned was parade rest.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So everyone watching that doesn't know, once you get into the military, your first step is in processing, and that usually takes 5 days.
Yeah.
And they sit there and they try to mind play you, and they say, wait till you get to the other side of the tracks. Wait till you get to the other side of the tracks. The first night, we got our bunks, we got our dog tags. And we started our in processing. They couldn't really smoke us. They didn't really smoke us. They didn't really mess with us. The first smoking we got was when we got our CIF issue. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Where
you
you
hold the bag out?
Yeah. So I'm like, this is stupid. What did I sign up for? Now I can't leave. I got to finish this or fill out. Which I'm not
getting... Well, and in processing, that's when they give you all your shots, your haircut, your dental. Everything. They give you all your uniforms, all that stuff. CIF is when they give you all. You get CIF on your way across the tracks.
Yep. That's like one of your last things, so you don't lose anything because you're a bunch of idiots at this point. You don't know shit about the military. So I remember getting smoked to get my CIF. I wasn't good at getting muscle failure because I never knew what that was.
No shit.
Fine. Day 3 and in processing, people are already sitting there writing letters and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm telling myself, I got to make this work. I cannot go back to California. I can't be that guy that becomes the statistic that ends up in jail, homeless, or on drugs. I'm not going to do that. So finally, we make it to the day that we're going to cross the tracks. And there's a reason I'm telling this story. It's just it was like I was shocked because I was in a whole different, place of life that I was just 2 months before.
Time out. Yeah. Andrea asked, "What does it mean to get smoked?"
Oh God, you look. They work you out until you throw up, pretty much, or reach muscle failure. Back when we were in, you can look the wrong way and you're going to get smoked for hours. They make you work out push-ups, sit-ups, sprints. Eddie Slow and Steve Hall and Carter.
The House of Pain.
They were the masters at it. So if you mess up, they don't. I don't want to say they don't hit you because I saw some people get lit up when I was going through, but they make you work out. That's what getting smoked is. So, all right. So now we're going across the tracks. We're in the cattle cars. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Mm-mm.
We have all our CIF. We have everything. And that shark attack. Holy shit. So that's when my whole life, just changed. It just changed. And I'm
They
like,
did
I
not
gotta be
meet the
good.
standard.
So you know how the senior drill sergeant would be in his blues when you show up.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else was in BDUs. And I remember going to the pad of Alpha 1st and 40th and seeing the unit crest. Yep.
Go Gators.
And they show us how to do one proper push-up, showing us how to, lock your elbows and, keep your body flat as a plank. Well, then they smoke us. They're like, all right, do some push-ups. Guy next to me gets kicked in the chest by Drill Sergeant Green because he's not doing a proper push-up. So that's when I told myself, I'm going to do a proper push-up now. So that happened. Well, go through basic training. We do all our cool stuff. We do all the shooting, hand grenades, whatever. And I remember thinking at the end of it, as I got into the military mindset, that I was kind of disappointed with basic training. It wasn't as hard as I thought. So I was kind of sitting there like, well, this really isn't as hard as everyone makes it seem. But I think is because I was so focused on getting out of there to my unit. And what was it? You failed 2 PT tests in basic, you get recycled.
Mm-hmm.
So recycled means you have to start basic training over. And there's medical recycles, there's PT failure recycles, stuff like that.
Overweight.
Yeah, stuff like that. And I failed 1 PT test. I said I won't do that again. Well, we had 100, almost 200 people graduate with us. And I remember my recruiter, this fucking guy. Oh, okay. So let's back up a little bit. Basic training, people start talking about MOSs. And they're like, I'm a 13 Bravo. I'm a 13 Fox. I'm a 13 Delta. And they're like, Widener, what are you? I don't know what fucking MOS is.
I'm an Army, bitch.
I don't know what an MOS is. And then I find out what an MOS is. And that is your job title in the military. So I'm sitting here like faking it off, like faking the funk. I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that. I heard you wrong, whatever. And then I'm thinking, this damn recruiter didn't tell me a thing that I needed to know. So I find out that I'm a 13 Bravo, and that's a cannon crew member. So we shot field artillery, and I didn't know anything about that. It definitely damn sure wasn't a towed missile. And I remember calling him on a Sunday, my recruiter, to give him a piece of my mind. Still haven't heard from this guy as long as I live. So he tells me, back to my mom's kitchen table, you can see the world, whatever, blah, blah, blah. All right, well, that's cool. I saw Oklahoma. And the whole time we're there, you know how it was. The drill sergeants were conditioning us to, you're possibly going to die.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. You'll fucking die in combat if you do that. So, you're constantly hearing that. You're going to die in war. So you get to the mindset where you signed up for this. And it's a possibility. So I was in that mindset. And then I find out that I'm going to, all right. So then remember that day we all sit in the big auditorium and everyone in your unit, Alpha 1st and 40th, Alpha Bravo, Charlie Delta, everybody's there. And you get your orders to find out where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my wish list was like Germany, Alaska, just crazy places.
Oh, yeah. Mine was Hawaii, Germany. I want to say Alaska. I might have put Alaska too.
Yeah.
But then when they said, like for the States, I had put like Fort Bragg, Fort Campbell, and Fort Drum.
I think I put Drum also. So I'm sitting here thinking I'm going to get, and they go in alphabetical order. So, of course, Widener, I'm very last. I'm the very last person to get my stuff. And everyone's getting these damn orders to Germany. They're going to Hawaii. And they're, some messed up places. No Fort Sills, nothing like that. They get to Adam Hoskins, and I'll say his name. Adam Hoskins, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And I'm like, that sucks. because I went to basic training in November, December, January. It gets cold. It gets freezing cold. And the wind starts blowing. So I'm like, that sucks for that guy. Then they start going through everybody.
I didn't know you went to basic with Hoskins.
Yep, went with Hoskins. Well, you'll figure out what I'm getting at here.
Okay.
Then they get to Widener. I'm like, here I go. I'm going overseas. I need to go somewhere. Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Oh, that sucks.
I was so pissed off, Wadzik. I was so mad. I was furious. But of course, you can't say it. So I'm just like, yeah. And then I'm thinking, that's damn recruiter. He just lied to me. I haven't seen a towed missile. I found out I'm shooting cannons. This piece of shit. Like, I'm so mad. So then we had a report. I think they let us go on leave before we report to the unit. Maybe a week or two of leave after basic training. We did the graduation, all that good stuff. And then I report to service battery as an E1.
Yes.
I was an E1. And I didn't know, another thing I didn't know of is people were getting bonuses to go field artillery. I took a $3,000 bonus. People are getting $25,000 bonuses.
I got a 20.
Oh, yeah. I got three. So I report to service battery as an E1, and I didn't know that you can go do a few push-ups and then run a mile before you join. You can get out start as an E2 or E3.
Mm-hmm.
Failed to do that. So here I am at E1, straight out of basic training. And report to service battery. Mark Conley, I'll say his name too, picks me up, takes me to my room, in-processes me, all that stuff. Then we go fishing.
Yes.
I'm like, why are we fishing? Why? So I'm like, this isn't the Army. So we're in service battery. And that's where I met. You were in service, right?
Yeah.
You, Shanks, Conley, Cornell, all the original Cougars. That's where I met everybody. But I'm still just anyone. I'm scared. And then we start doing PT every day. And, but then we work till, 10 o'clock in the morning?
Uh-huh.
Hey, just leave your phones on. If we need you, we'll call you. And I'm like, this is simple. This is simple stuff. So then we get disbanded. The good times were over. We become Charlie, 1st and 17th, right there. Then we start the. That's when everything started hitting the fan for us. Because remember, I think right when we got to Charlie, we came down on orders to Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're telling this group of delinquents. Well, we weren't quite delinquent yet. You might have been. I wasn't.
Oh, yeah, I was.
Now you're telling all these people that you're going to Iraq. And you watch the news, we're losing people left and right. IEDs are the big thing killing us and all of this good stuff. So it's stuck, in the back of my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, these drill sergeants weren't lying. I'm going to go fucking die. I'm going to go die in Iraq. Okay, so then our mission was, we're 13 Bravos, cannon crew members. I think we got assigned guns. We didn't do a whole lot of field time with them because our secondary MOS was going to be 88 Mike. So we were told that we're going over to Iraq and we're going to drive trucks down the main supply route.
I'll never forget that shit.
So I'm sitting there. And that's, people, you got to understand, that's how we're losing everybody is on these MSRs, main supply routes. We're losing everybody by IEDs.
Yep.
So then I'm like, yep, definitely going to die now. And
remember, they trained us to do the box formation if an IED hit us. And then when we get in country, they're like, keep fucking rolling.
Yeah. So we spend all our time training up on these, driving these semis with these 52-foot trailers, box trailers. Everyday semis you guys see that's driving down the road, that's taking the Walmart stuff. We were driving those because
our military version.
Yeah.
That was way shittier.
Well, absolutely. Everything military is way shittier.
And then we
But
had the bobtail to Altus. Remember
oh
that? And we got
god,
to eat in the Air Force Chow Hall, and
yep.
they brought us a menu, and we're like, "The
What the hell
fuck
is
is
this?
this shit?"
Yeah. So we're focusing all our training up on these trucks because we know we got to be good at driving these trucks or we are going to die. We know this. I mean, any day you could turn on the news. I don't even think I watched the news because how bad it was getting. And you can just see more soldiers lost in Iraq, whatever it may be. And finally comes time, we're flying to country. And I know that in my mind, I'm so conditioned that you're going to die. And we were getting proficient on our weapons and stuff like that between all that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I remember we flew off. We left Oklahoma. We hit Maryland. From Maryland, we went to Ireland.
They weren't ready for us. They
Ireland
weren't ready for us
So Ireland would not even let us off the plane for the first 2 hours while we were grounded.
because we went to the wrong airport. We
Well,
were
that
supposed to go to Dublin, and we ended up in Shannon, Ireland.
that wasn't my fault. I wanted to get off the airport or airplane to go smoke a cigarette because I smoked real heavy by then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, almost 2 packs a day, and then
we found real fucking real ingenuitive ways to smoke cigarettes because we weren't even supposed to be allowed to smoke.
Yeah, so they kept us on the plane for 2 hours, and then they finally said, "All right, you guys can come off." We didn't find tricky ways. Some people were just saying, "Fuck it, I'm going to smoke right here."
In the sandwiches.
Oh, the poached vegetable. Oh, yeah. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so now we know we're on our way to Iraq.
Tangent.
And throughout all our training for 88 mics that we've been doing, we became a motley crew of people. It seemed like everybody that wasn't wanted by the other batteries got put in Charlie 117.
Yes.
And it was almost to the point where if another battery looked our way, they just looked the other way. And like, oh shit, that's Charlie. Don't look that way.
Yeah, they're fucking misfits.
Crew of people. And any cougar can contest to that. And
we love to drink and fight and
that was all we did.
Drink and fight.
Then I remember leaving Ireland. We fly into Kuwait. So we're getting into Kuwait. I will never forget Top saying that when we land, we're going to be getting shot at. I'll never forget that.
Uh-huh.
And we land in Kuwait, and we do a combat landing. Like we're under attack. And then there's 2 charter buses waiting for us. Then we did we got into Kuwait. The next day, you have to in-process into country. And we in-process into country.
Tent City.
Like 3 or 4 days before we get into Iraq, we're told that we are no longer driving trucks. We are doing convoy security.
And they trained us so fucked up stupid in Kuwait, too.
Yeah. Yep. So.
And we were going to drive Humvees, remember? We were driving Humvees. We didn't even know what the fuck we were going to be doing.
Yeah, so they flipped the script on us, and there's nothing we can do. No, Top was telling us that we're getting shot at when we flew into Iraq, not Kuwait. No. So then we're like, well, we're not turning back. And that's where we started our tour in Iraq. And our tour is pretty jacked up, to say the least. That's all I can say, really. Is if the Cougars are going to make it through this, we can make it through anything. And I still say to this day, I would do it again if I had the same people that were with us.
Exact same people.
They might be a little more jacked up now, whatnot, but, I would do it again. Yes. Okay. So now we're going through Iraq. Everyone starts seeing their first IEDs. We start losing trucks here and there. Like you got to understand, we were on the road 5 to 6 of 7 days we were running missions. They'd say you'd get downtime, but if they needed a mission ran, we were running that mission. And I think it might have came from our leadership saying, we'll do it, we'll do it, we'll do it, we'll do it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so we drove, how many miles did you say?
Like over 1 million in like so many months. I can't remember. But remember, we got the little coin from the commander.
I think we did the most miles of any unit at the time. And that's a big thing because, like I said earlier, that's how we're losing most of our people. Through the 59 Alphas, through going Samara bypass, through going through Tikrit, Fallujah, Baghdad, all that. That's how we lost all our people in the war mostly.
Yeah.
It was the big majority, the IEDs. So, you know, I don't think we're fortunate. We had a few accidents. We didn't lose anybody.
Right.
Which was insane. All right, so then you go on. They try to give everyone mid-tour leave, and then you fly home, and then it's a whole journey back from Iraq to home. And so it was my turn to go on mid-tour. And at this point, I was a gunner and a driver. Gunner on top of the Humvee with the 50 cal, or I drive the Humvee. And then we got the new vehicles, the ASVs. Remember that?
Yeah. Yes.
So, you know, we got trained up on the ASVs. I go on mid-tour leave. That was a disaster. It's whole different stories. But I come back. And now we're looking to come home 6 months after that. So we're halfway through our tour. And it got so bad in Iraq that they canceled. Remember, they canceled all daytime missions? They canceled all daytime missions. And they put a curfew on when the Iraqi people could drive. And I think the curfew started at 8 o'clock at night and was lifted at 7 in the morning, something like that.
Yeah.
So the only people on the roads should have been U.S. and coalition forces.
Yeah.
So we do that. Well, I come back, and now I'm trained up on the LVC. That's a lead vehicle commander. And I got promoted, stuff like that. And so I won't say names in this story. So here's the story that I'm going to tell, and that's the only one. I'm just kind of telling you how we got there. And we go to Spiker. And the convoy commander, I don't know if you remember him, but I won't say his name. We do the briefing. I brief my part. The LVC is the lead vehicle commander. So I say, you know, what route we're going to take, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, even the convoy commander would say it, but I'd plot the route and check and see incidents, whatever. So we push out to Spiker with fuel. We're taking fuel tankers. We make it there. Spiker, if you remember, was only about an hour and 15 minute, depending on if anything happened. But an hour-long drive can turn into a 6 hour long drive, you know.
Right.
So we get into Spiker, and remember we'd have to wait. So we'd get there, and when they're dropping off the loads, the trucks that we're escorting, we would have to stage in a staging area, and we'd have to wait to see how long when they're ready to go back, because we'd escort them back to Anaconda. Well, we waited so long, and between that time, that's where we'd go get chow, we'd go freshen up, you know, wash your ass, whatever you wanted to do. But most of the time, we just hung out on the Humvees and just bullshitted.
Or slept.
Or slept. So I remember it's about 4 o'clock in the morning. The trucks are ready. Well, we're not supposed to be running when the roads are black. And I know that if we get on the road at that time, we're going to be on the road. Okay, trucks are ready at 4. We still got to get the trip ticket, all that. That's another hour. We're going to be on the road when it's daytime. So the convoy commander says, all right, Widener, hey, we're going to push. And I said, hey, Sarn, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea. I think that we should probably stay behind and, you know, sleep this one over. And then
wait until tomorrow night.
Yeah. And he says, I'm in charge here. We're going to do what the fuck I say. Roger that, Sarn. So plot the route, all that good stuff. And we leave. Well, of course, just as I thought, I'm the very first vehicle in the convoy. I'm driving an ASV, and then I had Private Allen. I'll say his name too, and my supervisor at the time. So we're leaving. Well, of course, curfew lifts. Right when 7 o'clock hits, there's cars everywhere. And in Iraq, when we were there, we took the middle of the road. So we would run people off the road. I don't care if they're coming towards us, on the side of us. People knew they better get over so we can have the middle of the road. The reason for that is because the IEDs.
Yeah, IEDs will be on the side of the road.
You're getting hit with IEDs. So we start pushing. And, once you do as many missions as we have, you start to know the landmarks and the what we're kind of coming up on and how far we are away from base. So everyone gets excited. We get to go hit the hut, the showers, whatever. I remember getting up to 59 Alpha, and we were taking a left-hand turn onto Tampa, I believe. So I'm the very first vehicle. The guy in my TC, let's not be fake about it. He was an idiot. So he was supposed to be the truck commander, and he was supposed to talk on the radio for me and relay traffic. Well, he was so incompetent that I drove. Reed or my supervisor's up in the hatch, and I worked the radio also. Remember, we had the ear radios where you click and see the mic. So I take the left on 59 Alpha or on Tampa, and I see this huge cloud of black smoke, and it's coming from the left-hand side of the road. So I'm going to drive right into it. And I know how dark it is, and there's cars everywhere. Cars coming towards me. And so I'm like, all right, I got to keep the mic and tell the convoy, stay as far right as you can. Do not go off the road. Just stay as far right. So I key the mic, and I say, we got smoke, stay right. And right when I said stay right, a car comes out of the smoke and almost hits me. So I'm like, okay, I got to key the mic again and let them know that there's cars coming. So I key it again, and I said there's traffic. Right when I said traffic, a car hit me head on. And I remember I was in the ASV, I didn't wear my Kevlar. Not a lot of people did. ASV is a real protected vehicle. So a car hits me head on, and I remember coming to, and I'm leaning forward and to my left, and I'm bleeding out of my forehead, and I'm thinking, what? And I look over, and Alan, he's bleeding from his face and stuff. And I remember thinking, I smell diesel. So my first thing is I turn the ignition off, and then I reach over and turn the radios off. I don't know why I turn the radios off. That's just an instinct. And I heard my supervisor in the back say, is everyone good? I'm like, yeah. I don't remember what I said. Yeah, is everything good? My first thing is we got to grab our combat lifesaver bag and go to this car that just hit me. So we pop the side hatch on the ASV to the right. Alan's still in the passenger seat. He's finally coming to. And Reed, there it is, Jay Reed, my supervisor. He's getting out with me to go save these people that just hit us. So I have the combat lifesaver bag. And I remember getting out on the right side, doubling back in the front of the vehicle and coming to the left side. Well, that's when I see the vehicle that hit us. So the first thing I do, vehicle's destroyed, it's starting to catch fire. First thing I do is we run over there to get the people out. Well, that's when I noticed 3 people in there. There was no chance of saving. And it just hit me at that point. I'm like, this is bad. Like getting in firefights and stuff, they're trying to kill you. That's different. But having this happen, I didn't know who these people were. So I remember it all hit me at once. And I got audio disclusion. Like everything just kind of hit me like, this isn't good. This isn't good at all. And I can see, the bodies in there. And I'm just thinking, well, then I see, and in Iraq, you never left anywhere without your weapon. So, of course, you jump out, you always have your weapon. So then I remember seeing something to my left-hand side. I'm facing the truck. I see something to my left. And I look over, and it was a guy in an all-white robe like they used to wear. Well, he got ejected out of the vehicle, and he's starting to get up and walk towards me. So I draw down on him, like, I don't know this guy. I'm going to shoot him. Well, right before I pull, I'll never forget it. Right before I pull the trigger, he just falls to his knees and starts crying. And then that's when it just kind of went fuzzy to me. And it hit me like, this is not normal to be going through. Well, right before I pull the trigger and he falls and stuff, he starts doing this with his hand. His wife was 8 months pregnant that was in that vehicle. So then it doesn't really hit me. And I don't remember much except for our convoy commander saying, "You fucked up my convoy." And I'm sitting there like, we got a car full of dead people that just hit me head on. And you're going to sit there and tell me I fucked up your convoy. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that. So, I go and the chaplain shows up, and you can tell it's the first time he's outside the wire. And I'm just sitting there in the back of the Humvee. I leave. They take me out of the accident. They don't want me to be there, and rightfully so. You don't want anyone to sit there and see just keep staring at what happened for what potentially could be those innocent people. So they take me, and I can't remember what happened after that. I think he took me to eat, me and Alan. But our last stop was back to our motor pool. Drop me off. Commander's out. Top's out there. Says, "You can come use my phone. Who do you need to call?" Because remember, we had to go to phone banks at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the commander, it was a satellite phone, I believe. And I call my mom, and all I can do is cry. That's all I could do. Because I know that a whole family was gone because of me driving a vehicle. I didn't know what after that. So, of course, they took me off the road for the next 10 days. Well, what happens when something happens like that is you go through a serious incident boards. I can't remember what they call it, but it's a serious incident review. And they get all the facts of what happened. Oh, so let's back up. So after I almost shot the guy, there was one of the KBR drivers. I'll never forget him. Real heavy-set guy, huge, long beard, taking pictures. I said, "What the fuck are you doing? Do you understand what just happened?" And you can just see the chaos. And, he's like, trust me. I've been here for a while. And I'm like, "No, fucking stop taking pictures." And then we left with the chaplain. Well, then I'm getting told by some investigators that I could be looking at prison time because I was in the wrong for what I did. So now I'm thinking I'm going to prison. And they said Leavenworth. And I'm thinking, I didn't sign up to do it. I didn't murder. And then it's like, yeah, I did. I got in a wreck and killed a family of people. So, yeah. I remember the Sergeant Major of Iraq, and I don't want to say the commander of Iraq at the time, but I don't know. So it comes time, and my supervisor, me, and Alan, and then of course we have the commander, Top, everyone. It's time for my serious incident review board, and I walk into this. It is not too far from our motor pool. I walk into this room, and it's just this oval table. I've never seen so much rank in my life at one table. And I'm like, this is real.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting there, and they're like, at Specialist Widener at the time, I believe. And of course, Alan's dumbass sitting next to me, and it's just,
Yeah. Yeah.
So the next thing I know, the lights go off. They said, we're here to review, the incident that you were in X amount of days ago, blah, blah, blah. Do you have anything to say? I said, no, I did everything right that I was trained to do. I did everything that I was trained to do. I reacted how I was trained to do. I have nothing to say about it. Well, then Lights go off. Cool. Then there's this JAG lieutenant or maybe a captain. I don't know what it was. Starts a slideshow. So I'm like, okay. Well, they did this little diagram of us turning off of Tampa or off of Alpha onto Tampa, and it's showing my vehicle, just this little box diagram like PowerPoint, and it's showing where I was in the middle, then I got over to the right, and then it's showing the smoke, and then it shows the first vehicle come, because this is all off my accord. Of course, I got to talk to the investigators after it happened, so this is what they're saying that I did with this PowerPoint. And it's showing the vehicles. Well, it shows me get over as far right as possible. And then I didn't have to say anything. The JAG guy, the legal guy, he was saying it. And he's talking, he's like, Specialist Widener did this, and this, blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, it's the pictures that guy was taking, KBR. Took pictures of my vehicle, my skid marks, the vehicle, the family members, all the victims in there, just everything. Real life pictures. And you can see our Charlie 117 Humvees in there. So they're taking pictures, it's showing the pictures. And of course it's hit me again. I'm like, I can't do this. So I just look straight up, like at the ceiling, projectors to my left. I'm not looking at this. Well, then we get dismissed out of the room after the PowerPoint and all that stuff. We get called back in, and lights are on. And at this point, I'm kind of in a shock because I just relived that again with all those pictures, the real life photographs that were taken. And I sit down, and all our leadership's there and all that brass. And it was a female sergeant major. She said, well, Specialist Widener, it's very apparent that you're very proficient in what you learned because we have concluded that you have done nothing wrong. I said, Roger that, Sergeant Major. She said, just try not to think about it anymore. And this is no shit. I'll never forget the stuff she said to me. Try not to think about it anymore. You didn't do anything wrong. They ran into you. And you can look at it as a group of deer that you just hit and killed.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sitting there. And
that's interesting.
I said, with all due respect, Sergeant Major, and that's when I got swooped up and we got taken out of the building. That's the last I saw of any of those people in that group. So they determined I did nothing wrong and I was not at fault. So I'm clear. I'm not going to prison. That's what, I was worried about. And I was worried about the family that got killed in this wreck and all this stuff. Well, I was on the road probably 5 days later. I asked to go back on the road. I can't just sit in the hut, I can't. So I'm back on the road, right back in the middle of everything. And then I'm back with my brothers. So that it kind of set me to where I needed to be, I think, back with everybody.
Yeah, it kind of centered you a little.
Yeah. So come to find out that the husband survived, lost his whole family, and I think we gave him not even $4,000, $3,700, if I remember correctly, for a settlement for his family being gone at the hands of the United States military. So the reason that I decided to tell that story, and then we finished our tour and a bunch of other shit happened with other people. And, the reason I decided to tell that story of them all is because that one I had no control over, but it left the most impact on me as a person with a heart. Like that hurt bad, and then years after that, like I took the right routes for the therapy and stuff like that. And finally it's okay to talk about now. I would never talk about this 8 years ago. Never. 10 years
Uh-huh.
ago. You know, but like I said, I chose the right path to seeking help. So that's why that I think that story is important. Is I think it's important to go seek help when you need it.
Uh-huh.
And in that case, I knew that I needed that. And of course, we all had our other issues after combat. That was unrelated to my incident, but it was that was life changing. It was really life changing. And when I became a police officer, I couldn't go to car wrecks and not think about that,
Right.
even though I had to. You know what I mean? That was part of the fallout from that, and I still think about it. There's probably not a day that goes by I don't think about that, but I'm at peace with myself for the help that I did get with it.
But you got to pretend like it was a herd of deer.
Oh, that chatting my ass so damn bad.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
I can't remember who took me out of the. They're like, all right, that's enough. We're leaving.
All right, you misfit motherfucker. It's time to go.
So, but no, that is the one story that I would share on the stream, um, for the simple fact that I know how hard it is to go get help for certain things, and getting help was worth it for me, and it worked. It worked. So if you guys feel that way, you need to go get the help. I mean,
Yeah.
like Nora said, can't believe you're okay talking about it. I feel better every time I talk about it. So one of my things going through the therapy was talk about it with your close friends first on how you recount it. Um, and I did, and I talked more and more, and it just helped me. Like, I'm at peace with it. It still sucks that it happened.
Yeah. And I
But
mean, but with everything that happened, I mean, um, now you're talking about going and getting help. I know me personally, like when I went to go get help, I went to the VA here in Odessa, well, between Odessa and Midland, where they
yeah,
got the Chris Kyle statue and all that.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I went in there and just, told them, look, I need to talk to somebody. I need to get some help. Um, I got referred to a guy. He put me in with a lady uh, that day. And I don't know if that lady still works for the VA, but I hope not. I hope nobody else had to deal with that woman. But that woman almost made it to the point where I never went back to a VA ever. Um, I was sitting there explaining to her some of the things that was going on, and I explained to her, look, when I drive, I can't, I find myself driving down the middle of the road. I have a hard time like going to heavily crowded places because I feel people are staring at me, or just looking for that reason, or whatever. No shit, Widener. This lady tells me, you're not in Iraq. You can drive normal, and nobody cares about you. Why would they be looking at you?
Sounds about right.
And I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, listen here, lady. You're here to help me,
Yeah,
and
you're
this
not doing
is
a good job.
this is the best advice you could give me. I'm like,
You
wow, okay, screw you, But he did set me up with somebody there in Midland at the Midland Vet Center. Um, Great lady. She was awesome. She was always available, and I'll get into that next week on mine. But the help is there if you need it. You just got to be man enough to go get it.
100%. And if you like, for the people that think that you're too manly to, I can get a group of cougars that have been through some of the deepest, darkest shit and sit there and tell you it's okay to get help. And when I say group of cougars, I say that because we went through the ringer over there. And every single one of them will say, go get the help if you need it. You know who's my favorite advocate? We have a Purple Heart recipient, and he almost lost his face
Uh-huh.
along
We
with his
talked
life.
about him on our very first episode.
Yep. He almost lost his face in life. He will tell you right now to your face, after getting his face blown off with an ID, go get help if you need it.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's there.
No.
And the VA, so when we were first started going through the VA, all right, so we get back from Iraq, and then there's fallout with everything. And then we, let's go back to that. And this is a real tough, hard recap of it, but get back, and then we came down to orders again. I don't know if you know this either. I got sent to headquarters battery, and I think remember everyone's getting stop lost.
Mm-hmm.
Came down on orders again. I was told I'm going to headquarters battery to drive the, I don't know who the hell it was, because they didn't want to stop loss me because of that wreck. They told me straight up. He said, you did enough. I said, no, I need to go back with my brothers. That's why I wasn't on the second deployment to Iraq. So they forced me out. I got out on time. But that's when it was good, because we got back from Iraq, and that's when we got on our guns, and that's when we started shooting field artillery, actually doing our job, and we were more delinquents than we were before we left. Oh, it was a shit show. The Cougars were like, you can probably see us coming down the street, and people would be like, yeah, all right, we'll just go that way.
Well,
like,
I know the bars that we frequented, they pretty much knew our name.
Yeah.
They knew our drink orders. The bouncers all knew us because we've probably fought them all at one point. You know, I mean, I had a buddy of mine that I'll never forget. You met him. That me and him, I think there's not a bouncer in Lawton that me and him have not fought, and that was Meade.
Yeah. Oh, Meade was wild. He's a good dude. Good dude.
There was a time when when me and him got in a fight, me and my buddy Meade, but we got in a big old fight because he touched my hat, and of course we were drunk in the Burks parking lot. He touched my hat. We got in a big fight, and I don't know if you remember Sergeant Steiner or not, but he was in a service battery. But he was a big old dude from Arkansas. He's the one that had to separate us because I had my thumb in Meade's eye and I was trying to gouge it out. But that was the group that we were. Yeah. I mean, we didn't put up with no shit from nobody.
So I went to anger management in the Army, and I'm the only person that I know of that got asked to leave anger management because we're sitting in a group, and this, I hate to say it, but once you've been in country and you've been through the ringer like we were, you know the people that have been there with you, and you're like,
yeah,
I see you. And you know the people that are like, everyone handles stuff different, so don't. At this time, I didn't think that. I thought, hey, you're lying. I don't like it. This guy said, when I hear the Islam, remember we'd have a prayer every day?
The prayer, yeah, every day.
I get chills and I start shaking. Like, I shut the fuck up. No, you don't. And then that's when I had leadership come get me because I said that in front of everyone in a group setting for being angry or whatever. So, they tried. They tried, but I don't know. It was just a weird time. But if you had two people like me and Wadzik in front of you saying it's okay to get help, that've been through the shit, it's okay, man. It's okay. Just do what you think you got to do and then you say the VA, they didn't know how to handle the stuff when I went through.
No.
But they're very well equipped now. Yes. I feel like they have a lot more to offer. and not just the VA, just any suicide assistant agencies. I think we're stepping our game up in the mental health. We're in the right direction,
We're
at
in the
least.
right direction by far, yes.
So,
Leaps and bounds over what it was when
yeah.
we started our process.
Yeah. So that's all I really have to say about that.
Okay, Forrest Gump.
But no, like, hey, everyone, thanks for listening to that. Like, I know
Yeah.
some of it was tough to hear. Um, but I think it had to be shared. It really did.
Yeah.
It really, really did. So,
I want to thank you, Widener, for coming on and doing it, because I know we talked numerous times since the last podcast, and you kind of had your reserves about it, and I kept telling
sure.
you, no, you need to tell your story. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you did, because I feel like, we asked people to do this.
Oh, all the
I
time.
mean, we put them through the ringer when they come on here, and they have to tell their story and relive their situation. So I want to thank you for doing that, and I want to thank you for, when I came to you with this crazy ass idea about the podcast, uh, for listening and going with it, because I think, I don't know how many episodes we are in, but I think every episode has something to bring to the table.
Yeah. No, I do too. And it doesn't matter if it's even a short snippet. Like, people might get tired of looking at it, listening to it. But if
Oh
there's a
yeah.
3-minute snippet of something that you hear that helps, that's all that
Oh
matters.
yeah. Oh
Like we
yeah.
said, it's as long as we can help one person,
Just
it's
that
all worth
one person. Yep.
it. And we've by far passed that mark. I know I've
Oh yeah.
been personally.
Oh yeah.
So no, and again, it takes a lot for someone to come and talk about this stuff. And now we understand that. That's why we wanted to share some more intimate details about us, just so you don't think that there's people don't think that there's who's these two jackasses that think we're gonna get people to come talk about us. No,
So next week we'll do our finales, um, our finish up products of our little life stories here. Um, we'll pretty much go from uh, where we left off to where we're at now, how we're doing with things now. Um, Next week, depending on how long it runs, it may be both of our end game stories, but
yeah,
um, just depending on how long it takes me to tell my story. Um, but I do appreciate everybody that watches this, and those of you that tell people about us, and like I said at the beginning, get it out there. Let people get it. It's free. It's free advice. If somebody could help them, let it. You know, if it's not us, let somebody help them. You know, we've had many people that have came on, uh, that have told their stories, that they, if they can't relate with us, maybe they can relate to one of them.
someone
And
else. Yeah,
that's kind of what we were thinking about when we did this. And we'll have other guests on. We're just trying to, you know, tell our stories now. And after we finish up this project here, we'll probably start bringing guests back on. But Widener, you got anything else to tell them besides thank you?
no, I appreciate it. Get help if you need it. Reach out. You can message the channel. I mean,
Yeah,
get message.
message us. We'll
Yeah,
talk to you. One of
okay.
us will.
Yep. But no, thank you for listening. And I wasn't trying to get too graphic with the details of my story, but I think it had to be heard, and hopefully it helps someone. And we will be back next Wednesday, right? Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. Yes, sir. Same time.
All right, y'all. Have a good evening. We'll talk to you later.
See you.